Hello everyone. Well, pretty much everybody who knows me knows I like big speakers and I cannot lie. Yes, that's a cheesy Sir Mix-a-Lot reference. These Peavey SP2s belong to my workplace and they both need some love. This one here on the right place. And you can't tell it on the video, and at this low of a volume, just being driven from a boombox, you can't hear that the woofer here is scratchy. So that's actually a common Black Widow problem where the foam they put in as a filter to keep dirt out of the voice coil gap degrades and gets into the voice coil gap. So I got to pull out this woofer and do that, and while I'm at it, I'll probably go ahead and do the one on this speaker, which... Oh gee, my FM turned into AM. Yeah, there's no tweeter on that left speaker. So I need to figure out, is it the actual horn or is it a crossover issue? Either way, I gotta tear both speakers apart and see what I can figure out. Some of you may know I actually haven't. I personally own a pair of these speakers. That's an older version. And I actually had to do the same woofer repair on them, or on one of them. For some reason, one of my SP2s actually has a JBL woofer in it. And I mean, looks like one from the 1960s, but it works just fine. I have been kind of casually keeping an eye out for a Black Widow to put in mine, so they'll be the same. Alright, sideways of vision. Let's see if you can hear this. There we go. Depends on what part of the cone you push on, bud. Hear that? That's the problem. It'll be interesting to see how noticeable it is on the other speaker. Oh no, I didn't want you to zoom. So, let's get this woofer out. Okay. Okay, these just spring down. Blue is minus, yellow is positive. Okay. Probably should get the vacuum and suck-a-lux that out. Uh-oh, we got 3 bolts here, and this speaker is right above the floor drain. Why did I not think that would be a problem? Not the best angle, but let's get these bolts off. There we go. Needless to say, I do plan to put these in not with a tool or an electric tool. Ooh, and this is, this one's gonna fight me a little bit. Alright, here we go. Ooh, that's always... Ooh, we caught this one quick. Here's that piece of foam. That's supposed to keep dust out, and... yeah, that's what you call no good. So now I gotta clean all the dirt out of this gap here using a variety of methods, including compressed air, vacuum cleaner, and tape. And then I got, oh man, this basket weighs nothing without the magnet on it. Go around and clean up this voice coil. And thankfully, there's very little on here. We caught this early, so this is going to be easy. And since the other one is even less scratchy, it'll be pretty easy to do as well. So I'm definitely this voice coil needs like nothing. Even if I don't get anything else out of here, I think we're okay. If you hear a funky noise in the background, I've got an electric fan going and it's a little, yeah, funky, I guess you could say. Glad I took that step. I'm pretty sure there was some dead bugs and, shall we say, mouse pills in there. These do get used outside most of the time, actually, so it's not a surprise to find. So they're usually stored inside, but, you know, mice are good at getting everywhere. So I'm going to hit this with some compressed air now. Off camera, I went through and just did a little more cleaning on this with a toothbrush. I think I've got everything. I just don't want to do this again, so I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything out. So I'm going to take some tape. I didn't even do this step on my SP2s, but I'm actually going to take some tape and run it down through the voice coil gap here in the magnet to make sure that all the... Oh, yeah. I did get some junk out of there. So that's good. Alright, let's hit it with the air compressor again. Okay, I've done a little more cleaning and wiping down off camera. It's time for marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Oh, I want this to be roughly in the right spot. You know what? I'm an idiot. Doing it. Why should I hold up that heavy magnet when the cone weighs nothing by comparison? There we go. Oh, wow. No way I got that. Yeah, that's going in. There is a mosquito flying around. Switch back to the impact and reinstall this woofer. Yellow to red and blue to minus. Had a little piece of, I think there's just that fiber fill right on the reaching around through the giant tweeter hole. And let's you notice and of course I kind of failed on that. I'm trying to just kind of bring it down to touch. I'm not letting it go full, quote, rattle gun. I'm just bringing it down to when they're snug. Alright, I've got... And you'll also see I'm going to do these in somewhat a star configuration. Now to tear apart that speaker. I will not film that, just to keep this video brief. I'm just going to rip out that horn and hook it up to these terminals and see if we have or if it's a horn issue or if it's a crossover issue. This horn is doing nothing. Oh wait. The terminal just broke. But I'm holding it on, it ain't working. Don't want to do that. I'm going to hook up the one out of this cabinet real quick and see if, just double check. Okay. It appears that other horn is dead. So I'm going to fix this terminal and then get this speaker back together. Well, I forgot the film, but this speaker is back together. Well, I still gotta put the rest of the screws in, but I'm gonna test it real quick, make sure it works. I forgot to film a couple spots of it, but given the camera angle would just got in my butt and my back anyway, so I'm thinking y'all didn't miss much. Okay, that's good. Let me go ahead and put the rest of these screws in. I won't make you watch that. Back together. Just needs wiped down and she's ready to go back to work. Now for that one. I want to do an experiment. I just want to make sure that crossover is healthy. So I've got just a bookshelf speaker hooked up to the tweeter outputs. And I'm just going to make sure that the crossover is doing its one job and not letting bass through. And of course make sure it's letting treble through. So, back on with the radio. Well, I hear treble, but I seem to have lost the station. So, give me a minute. Alright, I've unhooked the woofer in the cabinet since it's got to come out here in a bit anyway. And you're just hearing the bookshelf speaker through the crossover. And all you hear is high end. So I'm going to call that crossover good. A very crude test, but hey, it worked. And if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Okay, massive ew. I gotta put this down, magnet down. that right there is what I actually expected to find this on the other woofer, not so much on this one, which I thought was in better shape. But yeah, I got some work to do to clean all this up. So I may show some of the cleaning process on this, but I gotta throw this away. Yeah. And really, I found that's actually one of the better ways to do it, is just use your nose pickers, use your fingernails. So that's how I'm gonna try and get the bulk of this off. It's coming off pretty easy, so that's good. I did hit it with a toothbrush and some peroxide. Really, alcohol I think is the better thing, but as I already stated, I'm out of rubbing alcohol or denatured alcohol or anything like that, and I don't want to go to the store and get some more. While I clean this up, I'm going to kick the air compressor back on so I'll have it ready to finish blowing out the magnet gap. A lot of time in cleaning that I did not show on camera. This woofer did not scratch as bad. In fact, I didn't expect to find any issues with it, and it was the worst of the two. So, glad I went ahead and checked it, and I have most certainly extended the life of these speakers infinitely by getting that out of there. I guess person could rig up some kind of a filter out back here out of, I don't know, hot rodders used to use pantyhose as an air filter, but these are some pretty big magnets, and as you can see, it's got what literally looks like some super heavy duty window screen, so at least it's got something here. Anyway, I'm going to pop this woofer back in, and then I'm going to see if I can figure out what's up with that horn. So, I did a multimeter check on this, and I kind of expected it to be open, you know, no resistance at all, meaning that it had gone open circuit. I was getting a reading which really surprised me, and oops, I did not get that far enough off. Alright. There we go. Huh. Well, here's the inside of a compression driver. This is the actual voice coil. In a way, it looks like a regular speaker, just silvery. Oh, wait, almost looks like it got wet in there. Alright. I got a little more figuring out to do. Alright, on the outside it looks, you know, kind of a brass gold color, but the inside is black. Now, I don't have much experience with compression drivers. I'm going to do a Google search for a Peavey RX22 diaphragm and see what it looks like. And see, maybe that's all I need. Usually just a diaphragm isn't too expensive versus the whole magnet and horn drum, you know, and diaphragm. It's a lot cheaper to replace this, because these do go out, I wouldn't say frequently, but I guess it's a common enough replacement to where they sell just this. So anyway, hopefully we can get these bad boys back to functional status. Alright, so I do think this black in here is not correct. But you know what? They say there's nothing wrong with asking questions. And there's an audio shop across town, and they'll be able to take one look at this and say, ugh, and probably confirm my suspicions. And probably, I've looked online, I could get knockoff replacements for like 15 bucks, or spend about 60 to 75 on the genuine Peavey part, which would be my preferred. So anyway, I'm going to jump in the car and head over there. They took a look at that diaphragm and they said, yep, it's screwed. They didn't say it quite like that, but you get the gist of it. They said it's, you know, it needs replaced. But the way it failed is why I'm doing this. This looks familiar. Yep, this is exactly what I did on the woofers. Apparently what happened, the ferrofluid in that diaphragm had leaked. Now ferrofluid is used to cool and lubricate the high frequency driver. And the stuff had leaked out. And I guess eventually the coil froze. So what now I have to do is go around it. And you can see I'm just picking up all kinds of crap. Trying to pick out all this stuff to... or otherwise it's going to really reduce the life of when I put the replacement in. But you can see I'm barely getting it in there and I'm bringing out with all kinds of stuff. I decided it might be easier to work on and to do some work on it with the magnet removed. And oh my gosh, there's all kinds of crud in these threads. So definitely want to clean that up, and I may stick some automotive anti-seize on this before I put it back together. So I went and got lunch. I also went and got some different tape that I thought would work a lot easier. The audio shop suggested masking tape for this purpose, but while I was at the hardware store, I thought, you know, let me try some of this. This is sheetrock tape, and it's basically paper, but there's no adhesive on it, and you can see I'm getting stuff off. So I think I'm going to use, by the way, these rolls were about the same price. So I think I'm going to use this paper tape without the stickies on it initially, and then I'm going to switch to the tape, because either way I think I'm going to be here. I think I'm going to be here for a while. Get a couple turns in here. Let's see how much crud I get out. Yeah, so what I did is I took off a small piece of this drywall joint tape. It's got a little fold there where you can just crease it down the middle, and then I'm wetting it with this acetone. Just make sure both sides are wet. Stick it down in the gap, and then just start running it around until it starts getting stiff. Update in the saga. That speaker is sounding good. This one I still need a diaphragm for. This is probably 99% ready to go, if not as ready as it's going to be. I'll probably go over it a few more times. I didn't put it on video. I meant to film it and oops. I got some of that acetone into the horn. Oops! So don't do that. Thankfully, Krylon is fixing the problem. I put a couple coats of primer on here, and now I'm going over it with actual paint. And that seems to be fixing the problem. So, we're going to have a quick insert of Weasel Tells a Story, because I have almost no footage left of the repairs. So I got the voice coil gap all cleaned out and stuff. I took the magnet to the audio shop after getting approval from the people at work. Yep, go ahead, because I can charge repair straight to work. So made sure that was okay. And I was talking to him at the audio shop, and the pro audio shop, by the way, and the guy said, I'll just slip that on for you. So, great. And now, if they were my speakers, I'd been like, no, I want to do this for the experience, but they weren't my speakers, and I didn't want to screw it up. So, okay. Unfortunately, while the guy there was doing repairs, the boss walked in, saw him doing it, and said, be sure to charge him. So, yeah, he had to charge us, but
$30 labor. A lot for that little bit. But it was $90 total. And since some of those websites were selling that part for like $75, $80, and we've got the part for $60, $90 total, I'm not going to gripe about that too much. Not to mention that I didn't have to fit the bill, but still. So, again, if they were my speakers, I would have done it myself and DIY'd it, but I was a little unsure about putting that ferrofluid in. So I'm like, well, when he said I'll just do it, seemed like a no-brainer. But anyway, I don't have much footage. I basically have a quick phone clip of testing out the speakers. Now, when I tested them, I intentionally used a way undersized amplifier just to see how they performed. They got not loud, but they definitely got pretty loud off of what you'll see as kind of an undersized stereo, though bigger than what I was using for the tests in the video. So anyway, that's what you're going to see here in a minute. I'm sorry for kind of this storyline break in the middle, but that's the best way I could think to deal with it. And this is not a how-to video. This is more of a me bringing you along for the ride while I work on this project.
But now it's